Good morning. Today is July 17th of 2021, and this is the State Central Committee meeting of the Libertarian Party of Indiana. The time is 10:46, and I call this meeting to order. We have Mr. Jay Solomon, who is the designated proxy for the 8th District, and we have Michael Telsky, who is the designated proxy for District 1. We have a couple of guests, Mark Marsh, the county chair from Greene County, Dorn Brenton, the county chair for Washington County, Kate Thornburg, who is the temporary chair for Randolph County, who will be holding their organizing convention on July 31st at the public library, I believe. So that's coming up. We're really excited about that. And I will be talking to Kate within the next couple of days just to go over, make sure everything's all good and great. Okay, the secretary is not going to be here today, so I'm going to be filling in the secretarial duties of taking roll and keeping written notes, but this is being recorded for Ms. Salgado to be able to produce formal notes for the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and take the roll, and I am here. Vice Chair Lucy Brenton. Was that a here?
Here. Yeah, that was a here. Sorry.
Okay. Treasurer Michael Schulteis.
Present.
The secretary is not here. District 1.
Here.
Okay. District 2, Ms. Ballard.
Here.
District 3, Christy Avery.
Here.
District 4, Dennis Beatty.
Here.
District 5, Greg Nolan.
Present.
District 7, Kent Williams.
Here.
District 8, Jay Solomon.
Here.
District 9, Greg Hirsch.
Here.
IT Director, Chuck Hagerman.
Here.
Field Director, Morgan Rigg.
Here.
Political Director, Jared Hall. Student Director, Rosalind Cowell. So everybody is here except for 3. Okay, so everybody has seen the agenda. Are there any adoption or any amendments or changes that anybody would like to make to the agenda? Hearing none, is there any objection to passing the agenda as presented? Okay, seeing no objection, the agenda is moved, passed as presented. Appointment of a timekeeper. I'm going to ask Ms. Coquillard from District 2 to act as timekeeper. Are you prepared to do that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we will just move right along. Into chair's report. Lots of activity the past month, lots of interesting things. We've had some stuff working on the national party, obviously. For those that may not know, I won't say too much because I do know Dustin Nana, our District 3 rep, will be coming on at some point. But we have a new national chair, Whitney Bayou, which is great. She's wonderful. She's also the chair of the Libertarian Party of Texas. So that's great. We've had, quite a few events here in Indiana. A lot of our districts doing a lot of, fun socializing events. I have been, responding to emails from people and phone calls. So whenever somebody calls and leaves a voicemail, I give them a call. I'd say 80% of those calls, they're asking information. And by the end of that call, I get them signed up as a annual member or a triple member by the end of the call. So that's been great. We have, multiple county parties affiliating within the next 30 days. We have a couple more county parties that are coming on board as requesting appointment as temp chairs. So we're moving and shaking. We're growing, pretty hardcore. this is the time for us to be doing that. We're going to start our candidate training, our county chair training, getting all of those programs up and running so that 2022 is going to be an epic year. I will let a cat out of the bag. There is a person who has been wanting to seek our nomination for Secretary of State. And during that process, they were also in the process of joining the Indiana Air National Guard. And a lot of effort and work was put in on that person's potential campaign, which was about to be annihilated because there was a question as to whether or not they were going to, quote, grant him permission to run. Good news is that this particular person got a letter from his commander, which is the letter that he needed, stating that he was not in violation of any law, and all of the circuit breakers that he put in place should he be called into active duty are exactly what they require. And the fact that he knew them ahead of time was great. So this is the same that I would provide to any candidate that was running, seeking our nomination. If they were having these same types of issues, I would assist anyone and everyone and encourage anyone and everyone to seek the nomination as a Libertarian, if you are a Libertarian. Hi, kitty. It was just a blur, though, that cat running across the screen. So yeah, membership is up. Contributions are up. We did have a weird thing that happened where with our national membership, we had a lot of people who were first-time members. They'd only been a member for 1 year, who all expired in June. And it was interesting because every state party across the country had a significant drop in national party members in June. And it was almost exclusively one-time party members. And I couldn't think of any reason why that would be the case, except for they might have gotten their memberships in May for the national convention and then didn't renew in June. So their memberships lapsed in June. And so I think there were quite a few people who intended to just come to the national convention last year. And so they didn't renew. But we're still number 12, and we're still above Colorado. And from the last look that I had, we were only, I want to say, 42 away from, we're 42 away from 11th, and I think we're like 62 away from 10th. So we're not very far apart. And I've been sending out emails to people who are lapsed members. I've been sending out emails to people who are just state party members. If they would like to become a national party member, if they want to become a triple member, things like that. Also, membership cards from the state party. I got a great design back from Miss Lori Schillings from Hamilton County in the 5th District. And so those are going to start getting printed.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just got in the chat from Miss Avery that she would like to be recognized for a question for Mr. Schultes when that comes around.
Yep, she can ask him. She's a board member, so she'll be able to ask him when it's his turn. So membership cards will start getting printed next week. And we'll start going out, and that's when people will be getting, if they haven't received their pins, if they didn't get their pin at a live event for either the 94 Society, the triple member. I think Dennis is the only person that hasn't received a physical lifetime pin. So you haven't, Chuck? Okay.
No.
Then, so those people will also get those pins with their membership card in the mail. If they're at a tier that gets a pin, that'll be happening. So those will be going out They'll be printed next week. I think they'll be sent out the week after that. So within 2 weeks, we should have membership cards and pins going out to members, which I think will make a lot of people happy. And the design's pretty cool too. So I'm really, really thankful that Lori stepped up and was able to get that done. Any questions for the chair? All right, cool. Hearing none, move on to the secretary is not here. So we will reserve that time for random stuff. Mr. Schultheis, the treasurer, the floor is yours, sir.
I sent out several reports yesterday across all of our accounts. We have $60,344.15. Taking into account accounts payable, we have available balance of $57,534.15. Once again, that's artificially high since we've not yet input our data analytics, which is approximately $4,500 of this year. And we also have a contract for 3 years. We have 2 years left of payments for a total of $10,000, but that will be paid in 2022 and 2023. So we have approximately $52,000 in available balance.
That also doesn't include the authorization for the tents, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll get that added for future reports. And also, as a side note, I'm in a field on the west side of Indianapolis with poor reception, so I may drop in and out, but I'll try to participate as much as possible.
Ms. Avery from District 3, you had a question for the treasurer. Go ahead.
Yes, I was just wondering about the triple membership money being sent to the counties.
Right now, I'm only receiving reports for national. If we could get similar reports for the counties, I can get those payments out as soon as possible.
Okay. It'll happen. Any other questions for the treasurer?
I had a follow-up question to Ms. Avery's question. What mechanism does the LPIN use to determine where that money is going? I've gotten that question from a few of our counties down here.
So whatever county you are a resident in, and also just FYI, Mr. Solomon, if you can use the raise hand function and to be recognized. So the mechanism is whatever county the person resides in at the time that they register for the triple membership, that money is designated for the county party. What we had agreed to do was if it's an affiliated county party, then they get the whole $10. If it's an unaffiliated county, then that money is held in reserve. If the county is affiliated within that year, they get the money. If not, it goes to the state party general fund.
I meant what mechanism is it actually sent to them? Is it sent to the chair? Is it?
It'll be sent to whatever address we have on file for the county party. So when you do your county affiliate annual update sheet that has an address on it, that's where it's going to go.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Which is why it's important to keep that information updated, because we may randomly send you a check in the mail. And if it goes to somebody else, Billy Bob's Bait Barn, then you're going to be sad. Mr. Schultheis.
The money owed to the county parties is also not accounted for in accounts payable, so subtract approximately another $1,000 from the available balance.
I think it's 17. How many have we had? I think we're like right around 90.
Okay, so 90 times 10 would be $900.
Yeah. Okay, so you're right. Good thing our treasurer is good at math. Any other questions for Mr. Schultheis? Okay, hearing none. Moving on to Vice Chair Lucy Brenton. The floor is yours.
Okay, sorry, I'm doing a safety thing I'm going to gun shoot today, guys. How libertarian is that with the kids? I don't have anything to add at this time unless you're just looking for a vice chair report.
Yes, that's what we're looking for.
Okay, cool. Let's see, we're moving along with the convention. I've not gotten word back from Forum Credit Union. I should have that back. I've eliminated all the other choices. Chris Bangle said yes, he will be our MC. We had a great time, at least I did. I hope you all did too, that came out to Bedford last week. Sadly, it got rained out, and then it didn't get rained out, so they canceled it. So that was a disappointment, but that's my update. Anybody got any questions for me?
Well, for clarification, it didn't get canceled. Another event got canceled.
Yeah,
and
the other event got
people-
canceled. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. We're there for Liberty, rain or shine. There's some other
Yeah.
pussies around there that didn't do anything.
Yes. And yeah, it was the weatherman totally botched that because it didn't rain until basically the end of the event, and it was basically just a light sprinkling. But it was a great event. Myself, Morgan Rigg,
Rainwater.
Greg Hirsch, that's his district, so he's probably going to talk more about it. Donald Rainwater and Stephanie Dosbach were all there, and Danny Lundy and the Morgan County crew came out there because they do all of that. Any questions for Lucy, the vice chair? I said Morgan
Yes,
County.
Chris.
That he was implied in the Morgan County crew. Mr. Solomon.
I just had a quick point of information for anybody that might have missed it. If you do a quick Google of Libertarian Party, you will see an article on that event in Bedford, where the news got some really good sound clips of Mr. McMahon, Mr. Rainwater, and a couple other people who I'm blanking on right now. It was a really good write-up though. So
I will note for that article that my name is misspelled throughout the entire article. I am not Scottish, I am Irish. There is no A in Mick. I am not a Mac. And several things that I said were attributed to Donald Rainwater. But
so, so to attest to the power of the media to indoctrinate, by the end of the article, I had forgotten that you were not Scottish as well. So good reminder.
All right. Any other questions for Vice Chair, for Lucy? Okay, hearing none. Sorry, I had a freak out moment there. Okay, so moving on, the political director is not here, so no report from him. Field director, Mr. Rigg, who did file a written report, so thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I have a few items. I'll go through those as quickly as I can. The Park County event, I reached out to Micah Haynes, the 8th district representative. He has taken the lead on organizing the meetup in Montezuma. And I do know that he gave both yourself, Mr. Chair, and myself the latest information he has on it. My intention was to defer to Mr. Haynes regarding the details on that. With the volunteers, since the last meeting we had, there have been 2 people who expressed a wish to volunteer. I've been in contact with one of them and I reached out to the other. I've not received a response yet. One person did express interest in participating in the live streaming for future in-person meetings of the SCC. I'm still looking for another volunteer to help out in that regard. CRM, I received training on using the system July 1st. I did make a few phone calls to members. My plan is to reach out to the list of volunteers we have, and try and pursue this further. And then on the Super Saturday event, I did ask Christy Avery, the 3rd district representative, my district rep as well, about the Super Saturday event for August 14th. I don't have any new information. I also intend to reach out next week to Chuck Pullen, the 1st district representative, for an update on on his district's event, which is set for September 11th. And that is all I have. If there are any questions or if there's anything I've omitted by mistake, please let me know.
I will say that the Park County meetup, which was just to help us try to get some contacts, maybe some new members in there because we have 0 in Park County. We ended up pushing that event to the Sunday of September 25th. I believe it's September 25th, just to give us more time to organize and get it advertised and let people know about it. But it's going to be basically a cookout in the park. And just, you know, come and meet your area libertarians and get a free cheeseburger and Coke, that type of thing. I have been talking to Cassie Roland from Kosciuszko County, which is going to be the host for the 3rd District Super Saturday. They had originally planned on doing a big thing at the county fairgrounds on August 14th. She since kind of scaled that back a little bit and is going to be doing a more simplified event in one of the local parks on that day, instead of a big, huge event with bounce houses and food trucks and lots of vendors and stuff at the county fair. So that's being scaled back, but it's still on August 14th. And I believe most of those details are still moving forward. I do hope to get those finalized details by midweek so that we can start promoting it on Facebook for them. I would also like to point out that Mr. Rigg has been calling people using the Call Next Dashlet, that calls that I've assigned to him for people who are still in the wild apricot system, having their 1994 society payment processed in the old system. He's been helping them get moved over. We are now down to, I think it's like 42 people left in wild apricot. So we are very close to being able to completely get rid of that system, which is great. So thank you for that, Mr. Rigg. Any questions for Mr. Rigg? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. Students, Cassie Roland is not here. Or did I say not Cassie Roland? Rosalind Cow. Mr. Solomon, recognize you for a second.
I was just wondering on the student director front, since the upcoming semester is about a month away, at least at USI, where we were going to kind of do this pilot program. If there was any way that I could kind of, take some of the load off on that and get that set up so that we don't miss that kickoff deadline. Because I know at USI, at least, if you miss the student involvement fair, you might as well just push everything to the next semester because you're not going to get any people in off it.
Mr. Solomon, if you are willing to take that on and to do that effort to help get that, since we have a director in absence, I am more than willing to just please run everything, through me first, and CC her email address as well. That way there's a record in that account of everything. But yeah, let's go ahead and move forward with it. So if you want to take the lead on finishing the chapter constitution, let's have a phone conversation about the last things that me and Rosalind talked about with that. But I'm more than happy to have you move forward in her absence.
Thank you.
IT Director, Mr. Hagerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm working on the project to record payments that are being made in wild apricot into Civi until they go away. And so we are up to date on those. I was given a new project to create relationships for all the affiliated county officers. And that was necessary so that Evan could send out these bulk emails. We got that done. I've taken that file and marked all the open positions in red so that as I check this week to week, if any new ones go in there, then I will then go and update those relationships and then change the color to yellow, which is that's the one that's in there. So that's one we'll use. The other project I'm working on is redistricting with Jeff Marr and Andy Newmeyer, and we have completed all the maps. So we have our U.S. congressional map, our Senate map, and our Indiana congressional maps all done. They're done in Districtor. Jeff would like to see them also done in QGIS. And Jeff and I started on the final report yesterday. We've got about 22 pages in that report, which is close to to what it will probably end up being. So the rough draft is very close to being completed, and then we'll be ready for publishing. And that's the end of my report. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Hagerman? Okay, no, awesome. And thank you for doing those two tasks. They make things a whole lot easier. They keep things updated. You know, sometimes there would be a month period where I wouldn't update the people who are were processed in wild apricot. I wouldn't get around to updating, you know, maybe 2 weeks before I would update them in Civi because it was manual. But Chuck has created a better process for doing it, and he takes care of it. And so it's pretty much updated consistently and constantly. So it's fairly accurate with that. I will say to those who are accessing the CRM, we have a weird thing that happens with national data. Sometimes you can search to see who the national members are, and sometimes you can't. And right now we are in a period where they're apparently testing out some other feature in the search, and you can't. So you can see your regular members, your state party members. You can see that somebody is a national member. You just can't search for all of the national members in your area. It'll get turned back on eventually. But for right now, that is where it's at. Before we move into committee reports, Mr. Nana, our region rep, is here. Is there any objection to recognize? Oh, hold on one second, Mr. Telsky.
Thanks, Evan. Is that CRM for the district reps, or is that something the county chairs should be accessing?
Right now, it's just the district reps in a couple of counties. But we're building out the training program for the counties. If somebody is really, really, really gung ho and really, really wants to get into it right now, they can schedule a 1 to 2 hour one-on-one training with me, and I'll take care of it with them. But I'm going to be watching, and if you don't use it, I'm going to send you a bill for $150. Okay, so without objection, would like to recognize Mr. Nana for 5 minutes. Okay, hearing no objection, Mr. Nana, if you would like to give us a report as the Region 3 LNC rep.
Sure thing. Well, good morning, guys, or at least it's still morning over here where I'm at. It should be morning over there too. So this month is a lot calmer than last month, obviously. We selected a new chair, Whitney Bilyeu, if you guys hadn't heard. Our meeting for 9495 is going to be at the Brown Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky, which is the home of the Kentucky Hot Brown sandwich. We don't have the room block completely contracted out yet, so we don't have the discounted rate yet, but that should be happening within the next few days, hopefully. So that's cool. I think our rate's going to be 119, either 119 or 109, one of the two. So pretty good room rate, not terrible. But we would love to see you guys down there. I know Louisville is right across the border, I believe, from some of you guys. So would look forward to seeing anybody that wants to attend that. I'm trying to think. I really don't think there's anything else going on right now, which is great news. The new chair is very excited to, how do I put this? She's excited to make things less exciting. We are hopeful that everything will be, smooth sailing from here until Reno. I think we're in good hands with Whitney. She's very level-headed, and she's probably the exact kind of temperament we need right now. She's not going to come in and rock the boat and change a bunch of stuff up. She's not going to, change a bunch of the staff or anything like that. So I think, like I said, we're in really good hands with her. Like I said, there's really not much going on right now other than the meeting coming up. There's no business on the list that's going on right now. Like I said, we selected our meeting in Louisville. If for any reason Louisville somehow falls through, I would imagine that we're going to go to Cincinnati instead, because that was the second place on the ranked choice. So either way, it'll be kind of close to you guys. And close to me as well, which is cool. But there's really not much to report, like I said, other than that we have a new chair. So I suppose I could take questions.
Any questions for Mr. Nana? I'm just curious why Indiana wasn't on the list for an LNC meeting.
I don't know. That wasn't my decision. So what we kind of did was when Reno fell through. So I guess let's go back all the way to the June meeting, the in-person June meeting. So in Chicago, the plan was, well, I fought for Region 3 and lost that fight, but the plan was for us to go to Reno because we wanted the ability to view the hotel that we're going to be at for the national convention. So we ended up as a committee deciding to vote to go there in September, but we quickly found out that because we're coming out of the end of the pandemic here, at least hopefully we are, the hotel has no vacancy until like November or something crazy like that. So it ended up being not an option for us. So then the current acting chair, Ken Molman, directed Robert Kraus to find locations within Region 3 that would be able to hold us. And I guess either nothing in Indiana came through to the committee. So either, I can't tell you for sure, but I'm assuming that Robert didn't find a good deal or what he considered to be a good deal in Indiana. Don't know why, don't know how. I just wanted to make sure that we were in Region 3, so I fought extremely hard for that when Reno fell through. And because in the beginning of our term, at our very first in-person meeting in Minneapolis, we kind of promised that we would visit all the regions during our term if possible, and if that wasn't possible, that we would visit the regions that we hadn't been to in a long time. And the LNC hasn't been to Region 3 for an LNC meeting in a very long time, and they hadn't been to Region 8 either, which is why one of our meetings coming up in December is in Boston. So like I said, when Reno fell through, Robert was instructed to find places in Region 3, and then when he came back to us, the places he that were, I guess you would call them finalists, were Detroit, Louisville, and Cincinnati, and then Alexandria, which is where our hotel is, but that's not in Region 3, or where our office is rather, but that's not Region 3. So I can't tell you why exactly Indiana wasn't one of the finalists. That's a Robert Kraus question, but my guess is that he didn't find a hotel that would slash their rates enough for us to view it as favorable. That's my only guess. But I know you guys have the Indianapolis training coming up, so that's super cool. With the national parties doing the regional training in Indiana, so that's awesome. But yeah, I can't tell you exactly why.
You are not the only one offended, Mr. Solomon, that Detroit made the list, but Indiana did not. We have a visitor center bureau called visitindy.org that actually works with organizations to hold conferences like this. And I guarantee we could have gotten great rates, less than 119 Indianapolis, by going through that group. I think that it was Robert Krause's hatred for Indiana because we are the best affiliate in the country. So that is my opinion on that subject.
Well, I'm biased. I like Ohio a lot, obviously, but you guys are certainly high up there on the list. You guys are rocking and rolling and doing the thing. I always appreciate to see how well you're succeeding. But I think maybe probably because the regional training was also in Indiana, that might have factored in. But like I said, I can't say for sure.
And I just would like to say, Mr. Telsky, it's great that you're going to up your national membership. I would ask you to do it through the LPIN by using the triple membership program. That way, goes through us.
Yeah, if it makes you guys feel any better, Detroit made the list, but not really. I mean, we basically
they were a pity option.
Well, yeah, they were. Well, it's a union city, and like we were gonna have to pay more to go to Detroit, and that's just kind of like, why would anybody do that? No offense if there's anybody from Detroit on the call, but
We don't let Michigan people on our board.
oh, well, I like you guys even more now.
Let's see. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Nana? Mr. Brenton, I'm not sure what you mean, so we'll talk offline and try to figure that out. Okay, thank you, Mr. Nana. You are more than welcome to stick around and see how a good state party operates, or you can leave. Choice is totally yours.
I'll stick around for a minute.
Sure. Is Lucy around? Is she on? Because I don't see her in my list. Did Lucy fall off?
She had made a comment in the chat, Mr. Chair, that she was heading out to the gun range and might lose us. So
Okay.
It looks like the worst case scenario did happen there.
Okay. Well, I gave her 10 minutes to talk, or 20 minutes to talk about next year's convention, but really it was just me going to be peppering her with questions and demands. So we can go ahead and go through with that and then just hand them to her as edicts for the convention. Couple of things that I'd like to see from the convention committee is I really like the idea of a convention theme contest. National's got one going on right now. Basically what they do is they have a nomination page for $5. So you can nominate your own theme for a $5 donation. Things that aren't offensive or violate our platform and our statement of principles then get put up on a page where people can, for every dollar they donate, selecting their theme, that goes towards selecting the state convention theme. That's how we got Tanstaffel at the Orlando convention, which was originally supposed to be in Texas. I can't even remember where the 2021 was. It Texas or 2020 convention? Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
But so that convention theme was Tanstaffel. I like that idea. It also gives ownership to the members of selecting the theme, as opposed to, you know, a tyrant like Danny Lundy just picking it. So I kind of like that idea, and I'd like to see us emulate that, at least to try it out this year. The other thing is, and I would like to go on the record because this is being said, and I've seen this online in a couple of places. The only person who has been asked to participate in the convention that is not an officer or district rep is Chris Spangle to be the MC of the event. That is it. No other person has been asked to be a keynote speaker, a dinner speaker, a lecturer, a panelist. None of that has been organized and created yet. So if you're seeing that anywhere, that is absolutely 100% not accurate. No one has been asked. And if somebody's saying they've been asked, that's not true either. Because there's only been one person who's been asked to do anything, and that was Chris Spangle was asked to be the MC, and he did agree. So hopefully he'll show up. I can give him his stack of previous convention press badges that he never collected. I love Chris. He's a great guy. And I'm actually really excited that he's going to agree to do the MC. I think that's going to be really, really cool. Other than that, one of the other things is I think we need to set a firm date. And because we need to start letting our counties know that this is when the date's going to be, so that they can plan ahead, because there are deadlines, there are timelines, there are things that need to be done by the counties in enough time so that they can create their credentials or their select their delegates, so that they can do all the things that we require of them to do before the convention, but also to give people enough time to ask for that weekend off, so they can come and participate. So I think that that's important. I would like to select 2 weekends as a committee right now and instruct the convention committee to secure those 2 weekends, one of those 2 weekends with a forum. I think the first or second weekend of March. It being an election year, I'd like to get our nominations public and those candidates up and running as nominated candidates as soon as possible. But I think the first weekend of March is the absolute earliest we could do that. So I'd like to open it up for discussion on that. Ms. Avery's hand was up first. Ms. Avery.
First of all, who can't spell my name? And we have done a naming contest before. That's how we got the theme, We Are Libertarians, in 2018. So we have done it before.
I was gone. I was in Phoenix that year. I think. No, that was the year I came back. That's right, because I hated that theme. That's right. How did that go? Do you remember? Because you were on the convention committee. You were the convention chair that year. How'd it go?
No, I think that was when it was in Indianapolis. I think that was Rick Irvine. I was 19. I don't think there was a lot of activity, which surprised me because I thought for sure Sam Goldstein would try to outbid me and my minions going for We Are Libertarians. But I thought it was great because I won, obviously, but I'm not sure. You'd probably have to check with Rodney or somebody to see how much money was actually raised. I don't think it was a lot, but I mean, it's more than nothing.
Right. Okay. Mr. Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got 2 things. The most important one of the 2, though, because you mentioned deadlines as a consideration for scheduling, what is the date of the national convention and what are our deadlines for selecting delegates so that we kind of know where our bounds are there?
The national convention in Reno will be over Memorial Day weekend.
And just in case there might be somebody on this call right now that can't offhand think of when that might be.
Sometime in May. I can't remember if it's the last weekend in May or the next to last weekend in May, but it's somewhere in the last 2 weeks of May. I don't know. I know there's a big
whenever the 500 is.
Yeah, but people go to this big thing where like there's cars that can only make left-hand turns. It's dumb, it's stupid. But it's that weekend. And I think our delegate list has to be submitted. I think it's just 2 weeks before the convention, but we can update it up to the day before the convention.
Okay, so that's not like a pressing time concern for this?
No, it's a complicated process to update the delegate list and the alternate list to the credentials committee, but I think the chair can submit names up until, I think, the day of the convention. It's only until the credentials committee submits their report that I think we can't make adjustments or changes to it. But I don't think this has ever been a problem in the past. One, we always have plenty of people. Our delegation is always full. There are always plenty of people who go as alternates. We actually spend a lot of time trying to seat people in other delegations. But yeah, I don't anticipate us holding our convention in the first quarter will impact the second quarter national convention. Mr. Noland, you were next.
We haven't had a meeting of the convention committee in a while, but our first meeting, we did discuss the possibility of having a theme contest. So we are working on that. I have some concern about the 1st of March in terms of having our county affiliates having their delegates elected by then. Seems kind of early. Usually we have ours in mid-March in Madison County. So we will have to get out in front of that and make sure the counties know that they're going to have early elections at their county affiliates.
Well, technically speaking, our state convention must be held in the first quarter, and delegates are supposed to be submitted at least 2 weeks ahead. So, I mean, you know, uh,
I know we've had
we're
a,
very tight holding it in mid-March. But that's why I want us to pick a date now, is so that we can let all the counties know that they need to schedule a little bit earlier before the convention comes, so they can do that ahead of time. And go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Nolan.
we'll work on those days.
Okay. Mr. Telsky.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. I was just gonna chime in. I like the idea of earlier in March because spring break, at least up here in the northern counties, usually is the end of March. So that was my issue this past year. So if it is in the first 2 weeks, I think we can maybe get better participation, folks that aren't traveling.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Any other questions about or comments about the first or second week? Is there a preference? Does anybody have a preference over the first or second week?
Really,
Mr. Telsky.
Yeah, first week, also stay away from St. Patrick's Day. Second week, we'll start bumping into St. Patrick's Day stuff.
Okay. Mr. Rigg.
Yes, I think I'm in favor of the first weekend. My attitude would be the sooner the better.
Mr. Solomon.
it's probably a non-issue, but I just wanted to plant the seed of an idea of weather. With a lot of people driving from all over the state, if a week is a week, but if there's any concern about we might be hitting the end of winter weather, it might impact people's travel plans, that might be a consideration.
Well, if you're really concerned, I suggest getting all your neighbors to burn trash so that we can increase global warming just a little bit.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
And we, not this year's, but last year's convention was March 6th and 7th. And the weather was pretty stable. I don't even think it was even that cold. I think we were just wearing light jackets that day or that weekend. Miss Coquillard, I saw your hand was up.
Never mind.
Okie dokie. Do we need a motion? Mr. Nolan, I'm going to ask your opinion on this. Should we have a motion setting those dates for the convention committee?
No.
Okay.
We're going to have to work with the hotel too. So I don't want our hands tied. We will shoot for the first and go from there.
Well, I was saying for either of those 2 weekends, but that we want one of those 2 weekends.
Okay. No, I don't think we need a motion. We will shoot for the first weekend. I think that was the consensus I heard from people.
Okay.
I will communicate that to our chairman.
Okay. Woman.
Chairperson.
Mr. Rigg.
Yes, I wanted to just make a request of Mr. Nolan. I'm also on the convention committee, and I didn't know there was any meeting that had been held. So please let me know those meetings.
There hasn't been since, I don't know, a couple months ago or something like that, shortly after the convention or the last convention. So
I would ask Mr. Schulteis to verify that there is a listserv email for the convention committee that goes to the convention committee members and maybe send a test to them.
Not that I recall. I can check when I get home.
Okay, and if not, please go ahead and just set one up.
Yeah, if Mr. Nolan could remind me who's on the committee, or Ms. Brenton.
It's Ms. Brenton, Mr. Nolan, Mr. Rigg. We had advisors.
Me.
Oh, and Christy Avery, spelled correctly. And
I'm
we
driving right now, so if someone could just email me that information, that'd be helpful.
Okay, Mr. Rigg, can you do that?
I can email. Yeah, I could do that. Let's get that list put together. Let's see.
Okay, so it's you, Mr. Nolan, Lucy Brenton is the chair, Christy Avery, and then advisors who should be looped in were Lori Schillings and Danny Lundy.
Right, okay.
And I believe that was it. Is that correct, Mr. Nolan?
That's all I remember.
Okay,
I'll get a list to Michael then. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments about the convention? Okay, awesome. So we will move on. Building. This is crazy. This is going to be crazy. You're all going to be like, what the hell, Evan? I don't know if I can I put this in the chat? And I don't think people would be able to see it in the recording if I put it in the chat. And I don't know if I can screen share. Hold on, let me look here. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to see if I can screen share this. Looks like I can. Can you guys see this?
Yeah. What is it?
That is a building in Indianapolis. It is an old school that was converted into a Sikh church and resource center. That is for sale in Indianapolis. It's obviously big. It's got a lot of space. It could hold a convention. The actual square footage of this hall is bigger than the hall that we had at the forum. There's also a huge parking lot in back. This is just potential. It's 650,000, which is a lot of money, but it's essentially, if you break it down, it's 650 people giving $1,000. There are over 10,000 national donors who are over $1,000 in contribution giving. Those are, when I say that, there are over 10,000 people who have the ability to cut a one-time check for $1,000, and that they have done it in the last year. So I think it's possible. It is, pie in the sky, but it is possible. And it's something that I think I would like to pursue. Mr. Schulteis.
I believe this is the property Mr. Copeland and I had found a while ago, and I believe there are 2 properties included for that $650,000 amount.
That is correct. It's a very big space. Mr. Hagerman.
Is there the potential to fix one of those properties up, sell it off and fund the other? Or do we want both?
I think that looking at the layout of the land, there is a lot of potential usage for the land that is on the other side of the building that would not be great for like hosting events. That's not the picture that I showed you. And so I would not want to give up that land by selling that building. It would also limit our access to the parking lot, things like that. But it's something that I just putting it out there, that this is something that I'm looking at. We're not committing to anything. There's no motions or resolutions. There's no nothing. I'm not going to start sending out fundraising letters with this image or anything like that. We need to have a little bit more conversation. I'm probably going to put this in an email thread just for us to continue having this conversation and asking questions about it before we start fundraising. But this is kind of what I've locked my eyes onto as a target. Mr. Hagerman.
Would you envision hiring staff to run that building and then potentially renting out space to help defray operating costs?
So again, this is very preliminary.
Yeah, I know.
I would want to use the space, one, to house staff, both volunteer and paid, so that there are staff offices for our, our directors. Maybe a district office for each district, so that they can have a place to store stuff or have things. A media center for doing podcasts and videos for all of our candidates, getting headshots, things like that. That becomes a dedicated space. This would obviously have a classroom style where we could do trainings, in-person trainings, bring in speakers from outside. We can host a whole bunch of events there. There's even the potential of, if we wanted to do an area food farmers market on the property, we could. There's all kinds of things that we can do. Leasing out the space, I'm not a fan of that, because you have to give that person a key to the building. And so it would have to be leasing it out, in my opinion, to somebody who was like, if Greg Nolan was like, hey, I'd like to lease one of these offices, we would probably lease it to Greg Nolan. But if somebody who we don't know and haven't known for years was like, hey, I want to lease a space, I'd be very skeptical of that, because we would be giving them a key to the building.
I was speaking more in terms of renting the auditorium for events outside of the Libertarian Party.
Sure, absolutely. Which is something we had talked about before with other spaces that we looked at, that we would try to lease the space as like a venue if it worked out. Mr. Solomon, you were next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Hagerman beat me to the renting out the auditorium question, so I'll skip that one. And I think your comments kind of answered my question on, is the size justifiable? It definitely seems like we would be able to utilize most of, if not all of that space for different LPIN projects. I was wondering on what kind of location is this? Is this like a residential neighborhood and there's houses all around, or there are businesses around? What is the visibility of this? Because I saw the flagpole out front, and if we could put, LPIN flags out front, if it's a high traffic area, that's
it is not a high traffic area. It is not a high traffic area. It is a residential area, which most of Indianapolis is either residential or industrial on the far sides. So this is industrial. It's in smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood. And what's interesting about it is, so this was an old school that is right next door to a current school. So behind this property, there's a charter school. That's I think it's a K through 6. It might be a K through 8, but it's not a high school, but it's an elementary, maybe elementary and junior high. Mr. Nolan.
Yeah, I think at this point, this is committee work, that your committee on this subject should be looking at that, pulling together structural costs to give people and possible income. I don't think it's ready for discussion here at the SCC, if you don't mind.
I think it's perfectly within reason to talk about it, because it's something that it gives people an idea. Hold on, Mr. Nolan. It gives people the idea that we are actually working towards this project. And while they might not be fully fledged visions, it does say that this is an ongoing project, and it gives some people things to be inspired about. Just saying we're looking for a building doesn't inspire people. Saying, hey, this is something that we did find that is an option, inspires people. And so that is my intent. I did not come in here and say that I wanted a resolution or I wanted a motion or anything else like that. I wanted people to engage and be inspired by the possibility of maybe having a building like this one day. That's it.
I think your SCC is already inspired. I don't know, we need pep talks. We are excited about the possibility, and that we are working on a place. I want to value the SCC's time, and not, if this is not going to pan out within just our committee, that we shouldn't be spending the SCC's time.
It was 5 minutes. It was 5 minutes, and this isn't just for the SCC. It's for the other membership. It's for people to take back, and it's on Facebook or YouTube.
We weren't done. The questions were continuing to come. That's why I have asked that we stop discussion on it.
I'm not going to stop discussion. Ms. Coquillard.
My question about the new building and it being like next to a school, you said. How would that work with like if like you also said hosting events there? If you hosted an event there with an open bar or such with liquor license, I think you have to be like 500 feet away from any school to be able to obtain a liquor license. So I don't know how that would work. I don't know how close we are.
Okay, just to reiterate, broad strokes. But now I actually do understand Mr. Nolan's point. One thing about the liquor law is event licensing is different than having a permanent liquor license. So having a event license for something like that would be completely different. They can actually get an event license to serve alcohol at the school. Mr. Schulteis.
If I recall correctly, this property is approximately 40 acres, so it's likely it's more than 500.
It's 10.
Or,
It's
okay,
10
then
acres.
it's likely more than 500 feet away from the school.
True. Okay. Seeing no other hands raised. Do you guys want to take a break now, or do you want to go through the district reports and then take the break? Okay, if you want to take a break now, raise your hand. Okay, only seeing 3. We will not be taking the break. We will go ahead and go through district reports and then take our scheduled break at that time. So district reports. District 1, Mr. Tilsky.
Yeah, I just had talked to Chuck. I'm here as a proxy for Chuck, who's on vacation today. We've identified Porter County for the Super Saturday event, September 11th. So it'll be my home county up here. We have our business meeting for the Porter County affiliate on Monday. So we'll talk to the rest of the board about ideas floating around that. Talk about either a cleanup event or possibly some sort of barbecue, things of that nature. So we'll have some more details on that, but I think we're locked in for September 11th for an event up in Porter County for District 1.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Telsky for District 1? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Coquillard for District 2.
I have nothing new to report for District 2 at this time.
Okay, any questions for District 2? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Avery for District 3.
All right, you should have all gotten, I'll turn the video on maybe. You should have all gotten your written report, which included some pictures. Ooh. In Kosciuszko County, Cassie did a First Friday event in Warsaw. We set up a booth for that. She said she didn't get a lot of interaction, but she has heard that the Democrats will be participating in August, and apparently they have not participated this month. So it is being noticed. Allen County participated in a 4th of July parade on July the 3rd in New Haven, where we have a Libertarian city councilor. And Matthew joined us mid-parade and walked with us till the end, and that was a good time. And then he was also a good sport and got into the dunk tank. So lots of us were very happy today and dunk him in the dunk tank. I know Whitley County is also going to start doing their First Fridays, which is, the same day as the one in Warsaw. That's in Columbia City, so those two are pretty close together. Ryan's been doing a lot of traveling for work, so he hasn't been super active. I did attend one of their meetings a couple months ago, so that's going well. I know Morgan hasn't had a lot of stuff going on in DeKalb, but he's still trying to reach out to his contacts there. I haven't really heard anything from Danny in Wells County, but things are moving on. So that's about it.
She muted up there at the end. I think she asked if anybody had any questions for her. No, hearing none. Okay, District 4, Mr. Beatty.
Right now, getting my feet wet. I'm going in and going to CR in Cranston, so hopefully we'll get some activity going on in the district.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And welcome to the board. We're happy to have you representing the 4th District. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Any questions for Dennis? Nope. Okay. District 5, Mr. Nolan.
Yeah, just haven't gotten a lot done this last month. Would like to honor Hamilton County. They had a very nice booth at the Carmel Fest, and they had a lot of volunteers and a lot of activity. It was a very hot weekend, and kudos to Hamilton County. That's it.
Any questions for Mr. Nolan? Okay, Mr. Solomon.
I just want to back up what Greg said from District 8. A lot of us saw what Hamilton County put on there, and a lot of positive feedback. Looks like they killed it at that event.
And I do believe that I saw in a written email from Lori Schillings, the chair of Hamilton County, that one of the benefits to that was they met someone who's one of the heads of the Knights of Columbus in the county, and they have a charity where they gather new children's books from publishers or from bookstores. Instead of throwing they typically throw the children's books out as opposed to sending the unsold books back to the publisher. They run a charity that takes all of the books and then sends them for free to children across the country. So for their 5th District Super Saturday event, which I believe is in October, November, October, is that right? They're going to go and support them for that day and get a bunch of volunteers together and do some stuff to publicize what they do for sending out books to children. And I think they'll have more information about that soon. I just saw it in an email, I think, this morning. Any other questions for Mr. Nolan? Okay. District 7, Mr. Williams.
Yes, not much to report this month, or this, not much to report. The July meeting of the Marion County Libertarian Party was canceled. The next upcoming meeting is Monday, August 2nd at the Antelope Club at 7 p.m. It's going to be, as per the schedule, it's not going to be a very business-focused meeting. It's going to be more of an outreach, fun meeting. So everyone's welcome to attend. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
I would like to say, Mr. Williams, I'm going to admonish the Marion County Party here for a second. We received a phone call from someone who was in our database as a contact, but not a member, who said that they were disappointed that there were no events going on in Marion County and asked to be connected to other counties that were having more events. And I actually ended up getting them connected with Morgan and Johnson County because they have events happening every week in those 2 counties. And he lives on that edge of Marion County where it's reasonable for him to go to either Johnson or Morgan County. That being said, with that call, I did convince him to become a triple member. And I did say that there are great leaders in Marion County, but they need volunteers and they need people to help them organize, attend, and staff events. And if he was willing to step up to help, that I'm sure that there would be more great socializers coming in the county. So I did CC you on an email to him, responding to him signing, because I actually processed his membership over the phone with him.
When was this? I have yet to see any email.
What the hell is today? Today's Saturday, so it would have been Thursday.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't receive that email.
No, it was yesterday. It was yesterday because it was before I left for my midday nap.
Yeah, there might be something wrong with my email.
I will check. I may not have actually CC'd you on it. I will verify that, but I highly recommend reaching out and just, getting in contact with him, or using the CRM to see who the new members are in your district, because you can do that. And then reach out to call them and say, hey, I see you're a new member. Welcome. How'd you get here? And one of the things that was that he was very impressed with was he actually called. And if you're not familiar with our phone system, it immediately goes to voicemail. And I got the email about the voicemail immediately, listened to it, and then called him back. So it had been less than 5 minutes, which is not typical for me. Typically for me, it's you leave a voicemail, I will call you back within 48 hours. But he got a phone call within 5 minutes and then was like, wow, the chair is calling me. And I was like, yeah, don't read into that. But yeah, so I highly recommend taking advantage of that type of resource, contacting him and getting him connected in to help create new events. Because I'm a Marion County member, and I've been saying this too. I was really super impressed with the socializer that was done. We had, half the people there weren't party members. That was a great event. That's one in 2 years. And so we need more than a business meeting every other month in Marion County, because it's the biggest county. You guys got to be, you got to set the example. Don't let Morgan County make you look bad. Any questions for Mr. Williams? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Solomon, District 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do apologize. I know Mr. Haynes gets pretty detail-oriented in his notes, and I don't have those. So if I miss anything, I do apologize. District 8 has been busy over the last month and is continuing to be busy over the next month. It's county fair season, and I think all of our affiliates, except for 2 or 3, are participating in those county fairs. So Vigo County and Du Bois County wrapped up their county fairs. This weekend, Clay County is kicking off either today or tomorrow. And then we have Vandenberg coming up and a couple others that I am not tracking off the top of my head. District 8 is, I'm sorry?
Greene County.
Greene County. I don't think they're actually participating in their county fair. Mr. Marsh could speak to that if he is still on the call. I know they are looking at a few parades and other events around their county. They've been one of our most active counties in the district, actually. District 8 is continuing its rifle raffle fundraiser. We've hit a couple of roadblocks in some of the county fairs as far as selling raffle tickets. I know Du Bois had this issue where the fair board told them that no money could exchange hands at any of those booths. And then when I went up 2 days before the end of it, I walked past the Democratic Party booth selling raffle tickets and politely confronted them, which, then they all looked at each other and said, oh, no, let's talk to the fair board. So our chair ratted them out to the fair board and got them in trouble. But my guidance to county parties has just been, at this point, watching the way they dealt with the Democratic Party afterwards. Just ask for forgiveness if they call you on it. Don't seek permission, because that cuts into our fundraising, and I don't particularly like anything that sets us even farther behind than we already are in that competition. So I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, did you have something on that?
No, I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to your county fair board.
Du Bois County Fair Board. We have 9 of our 18 counties currently affiliated. 2 of those counties are inactive. Gibson County has been inactive for over a year due to their chair's husband's health conditions. However, we have been approached by a newer member, Shalonda Newcomb, Dr. Shalonda Newcomb, about standing the affiliate back up. So we should get them back up and running probably in the next month or 2. For laughs, if anybody likes it, her husband is the chair of the Gibson County Republican Party, so their dinner conversations are probably going to be interesting. He's actually expressed a lot of interest in the Libertarian Party. He just didn't find an active affiliate, so he got involved where he could. We've sold him raffle tickets. He has donated to the district. Sounds like a decent guy. 2 more affiliation requests, which are on the agenda for later, so I'll save them to then. And then for the Park County event in Montezuma, we are tracking on that. I know Micah has more of the details than I do. Mr. Politano from Vandenberg County has acquired a pretty sizable grill that he picked up from a barbecue joint that shut down. He has indicated to me that he is willing to drive that up there to Montezuma so that we'll have a grill available. Yeah, I think that is all of the. Candidate side, we have 2 potential state House of Representatives candidates that are just kind of exploring and waiting for redistricting to see which districts they are in. And then 1 potential candidate for the 8th district who's kind of mulling it around. Still trying to meet that 138 candidate goal where we can, just kind of hung up on the redistricting mostly on that. And I have gotten some requests from some county parties for the literature that we're setting out at our events. We have the little LP rack card. The downside to that card is that on the back it says join the party at lp.org/join. So there were questions on if there is an LPIN version of that, even if just PDF file. We have guys that can print stuff in-house now. So if we can just get a PDF, we can start handing that out and pushing people toward LPIN memberships more strongly than we have in the national memberships.
I will say that the stuff that we have is significantly outdated. We need to do a refresh. I have actually put in a request to the Affiliate Support Committee National to have the editable files for all of the rack cards that National has, so that we can keep the same look, feel, branding, change the wording, and put our data on it. And the chair of the Affiliate Support Committee is agreeable to it. It's whether or not the staff and the HQ is going to do it or not. Sometimes they get salty about that sort of stuff. They would rather just say, we just use ours, just buy it in the LP store and use ours. And like, I don't want to.
Another friendly tip, and if Mr. Marsh is on the call still, he'll probably be mad at me for pitching this. We have a few affiliates that have been making LP/LPIN merchandise, t-shirts, polos. Get a lot of requests like, hey, where can I get that snazzy polo that you and Mr. Haynes are always wearing out to events? And since I'm not aware of any of those on the LPIN store, I am directing them to our county affiliates that are selling those. So if the LPIN would be so interested, there is a market.
I've been asking for a polo for some time now.
All right, I'll remind him that you asked about it.
Any other questions for Mr. Solomon? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Hirsch, District 9.
Okay, I'll start out. There was a guy named Michael Woods who contacted with you who wanted to get more involved in the 9th District tournament. He actually lives in Indianapolis, so I directed him to the Marion County party and also to our website. He'd never seen our website, but I also encouraged him to check out Johnson County and Morgan County, some of the bordering counties who are pretty active. And they might be maybe the same person you talked to, Evan. I don't know, but it is, okay?
It is.
Okay, small world then, okay? And also James Reynolds also contacted me that he lives in Jackson County. He wants to try and get the Jackson County party going again. And I said, well, I will contact the members of Jackson County, see if we can get things happen there, because both the previous former chairs no longer live in Jackson County. So if we get Jackson County going again, that'd be great. And of course, Morgan County, they got a lot of upcoming events. They got Old Sailors next month, Paragon Homecoming, Monrovia, Evidence and Fault. They got like 6 different events coming up. They're going to have booths and stuff at. They've sent onboarding kits to all their members. They've raised over $3,000 this year and sending out newsletters and just doing great things. But of course, the main thing in the 9th District is last weekend in Lawrence County, we had our big Liberty Inn event in Lawrence County in Bedford. Donald Rainwater spoke, Evan spoke, I even spoke. I've got it all on video. In fact, I need to get that video up. And of course, Lucy came and she spoke, and Tanya Millis spoke, and Darren Kendra, the Lawrence County Chair, said that he wants to do that same event at the same location every year, the second weekend in July. He said he paid about $2,400 to set it all up, but his intent was to make it back with all the beer sales. I don't know if he's done that or not, but that's his plan is to do it every year. Anyway, this week Lawrence County is has a booth at the 4-H fair in Lawrence County as well. And that's the main thing going on. I mean, I say the event was a big success. They're expecting more people there at the event than what came, but there were a couple of other things that were supposed to happen there in that same area that did not happen, so it didn't draw as many people out. But really, I mean, the potential is definitely there. There's a lot of excitement, people checking things out. Those are the main things going on.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Any questions about the 9th District? Okay, hearing none. We are on the agenda set for a 10-minute break. So we will recess and come back at 12:17 Eastern. It is 12:18 and we are back in session for the Libertarian Party of Indiana State Central Committee meeting. Next on the agenda was under projects, SMS texting. Really briefly, I secured the local phone number needed, which costs us $1 from Twilio to connect to our Civi CRM so that we can send SMS messages. And in that process, they said, hey, there's this new thing called, and I'm going to tell you what it's called, A2P 10DLC. And that stands for application to person 10-digit long code, which is a local number. The carriers, not the law, the carriers have set new regulation to block spam texting that requires you to go through what's called a trust verification process, and you have to have so many trust points or they will not allow your text messages to go to their customers. This went into effect June 1st. National and Pennsylvania, who are the two other people using this program with Civi CRM, had already been using it for a while before this went into effect. However, they have to go through this same process we're going through before it's like October 15th or something like that. I've talked to National because essentially what it is we need to have stronger language on our contact forms. When you register or when you sign up as a contributor or a member, we need stronger language that says that you are opting in to receive SMS messages and that you can opt out at any time by replying stop to any text message. They're building that out. They were just going to do it just for us. And then Andy was like, is this important for us right now? Can it wait a couple of weeks? Because if it can wait a couple of weeks, they'd rather build it into every state party's system so that every state party has it. Should they ever decide to use text messaging, it's already built into the compliance stuff is already built into all of their forms. And I said, I don't have any text messages that I'm dying to send right now. So we can wait the 2 weeks so that it's built out correctly for everybody and not just us. So that's where we're at with that. It has been a huge pain in the ass, a huge pain in the ass. And it's being done by the carriers, not by the FCC, because we are technically exempt from all of those telecom laws as a political organization. However, the telecom companies can do whatever they want. They can say, you know, we're making you go through this if you want to message our customers. So it's fair. It's a pain in the butt. And there are ways around it. You can basically pay for a different tier. And I was like, well, let's do that then. And they were like, yeah, so it's $1,500 a month plus the cost of text messages. And I was like, no, not going to do that. So that's where that is. Nothing major. Any questions about that? Okay, cool. Hearing none, moving on. HR policy, I'm just going to state that I talked to Mr. Pullen the other day, and we had a miscommunication. I thought he was taking it to his HR person first. Actually, he wanted me to review it and give him notes on things and then take it to her. So we're doing that. And she's going to write a report on it and then submit it back. And I don't know if it would be on the agenda. Well, it'll definitely be on the agenda for the next meeting because the next meeting will be in September. So it'll be on the September meeting. Judicial Committee. I'm going to put this up on the screen. Everybody should have gotten it multiple times now. Oh, you know what? I think did I close it out? Can everybody see the Judicial Committee language? Here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Everybody received a copy of it, correct?
I did. Yes.
Yep.
I'm just going to open it up for questions and comments. I'm going to stop sharing because I can't see you guys when I'm sharing, but you all have a copy of it, received multiple copies of it. So I'm going to open it up to questions and comments. Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was reading through this before the meeting, and there were a couple of things that stood out to me as just points of clarification or concern. So electing the Judicial Committee will be at the next regular gubernatorial convention as per this language, which would be 24, correct? So I just wanted to throw the question out there of whether that's too late or if that's something that perhaps the timeline might benefit from moving up. As far as the subject matter jurisdiction of the Judicial Committee, I was kind of unclear on this language on whether that committee will just be an appellate body reviewing actions that are listed under Section 2, or if they would have the authority to initiate those actions. And if it is the former, I think that may be beneficial to clear up that language to make that a bit more clear. But the biggest thing of concern to me is the filling of vacancies. As worded now, if a member of that, or if a vacancy were to arise on that committee, the committee itself can appoint its replacement. I've seen this in a couple of places throughout county parties, national party, where just kind of a toxic environment by one or two members can lead people to just quit instead of sticking it out and trying to win the battle. So I fear that this language allows for that, of just, hey, let's just bully out the guy that we don't like, and then we can appoint our buddy onto the board. And that, to me, is kind of a major point of concern. And that is what I had for that.
Okay, so I will address those in order. The first one is, should all committee, should all committee, Judicial Committee positions be vacant? An intervening convention or the state central committee may fill such vacancies. By creating this board, there will be complete vacancies. The entire board would be completely vacant. Therefore, the SCC could either decide to, we could then fill the vacancy, or we could say, hey, it's a month away from the state convention. We'll just let it go to this next intervening state convention to fill all of the vacancies. That is the circuit breaker, that if all of the vacant, if all the positions are vacant, then we have the ability to step in to fill those positions again. As far as judicial committees appointing their own, filling their own individual vacancy, that is standard practice for judicial committees for almost all organizations that have them. And the reason being is because the judicial committee is tasked with adjudicating actions of the board. So if somebody was being bullied by board members, by SCC board members, and they said, screw this, I'm not taking it, and I quit, and then, you know, we vote to appoint somebody that's going to uphold the ruling that we just made. That is the separation. However, they can be replaced by the delegates at a convention. So that was that. As far as the subject matter jurisdiction, I believe I'm looking for specific language to state exactly what you're stating here.
So under section 2, it says the subject matter jurisdiction of the judicial committee is limited to consideration of only those matters expressly identified as follows, with all those sections. And then I think the first time that it actually even mentions appellate at all is
In their
section
procedures.
3. The judicial committee shall establish rules of appellate procedure. I would recommend for section 2 offering an amendment, inserting, let's see, limited to consideration of. So after consideration of, I would offer an amendment to add the words appeals of, consideration of appeals of only those matters expressly identified as follows. That kind of just clears up the language.
Um, I'm trying to word this correctly. Is limited to consideration of the appeals of only those matters expressly identified as follows.
I'm probably getting too law wordy here, but I believe the addition of the, I mean, is there already an established procedure for appeals of any of these things?
No, they would set up their appellate procedures.
Okay,
But
I'm not gonna fight over the word the.
I can remove that. That's fine. And I would say appeals on consideration of appeals on only those matters expressly identified as follows.
I would make that motion.
Okay. It is out of order at this time because there is no motion on the floor.
Right.
So until there is a motion, because we were just in discussion. So, but it is good to have that discussion now. So when it does come to the floor, you can move to amend with that. And it has been talked about.
Or you can change it before it comes to the floor.
I don't know if I can because it was submitted in writing. I may actually, if I'm the one making the motion, I may put the motion in.
Well, you just resubmit different writing. This has not been submitted for, this has just been submitted for comment at this point, right?
It was submitted on to the agenda with the intent of it being adopted as a motion. It was not submitted as a motion. It was submitted with the intent for it to be moved by the board.
Would it be in order for whoever moves it to make the motion to accept the JC amendment as submitted with the amendment on section 2 to add the words appeals of after the word consideration?
I do believe that as the main mover of the motion, while in the motion, you can use substitute language until the motion has been seconded. Mr. Nolan, you were next.
A couple things. I thought it interesting as to what is the process that these matters come before the Judiciary Committee. Is there some kind of formal challenge that has to be set forth? Or do we put that process in this amendment here? Like he said, and I don't think we answered that, or you didn't answer that question, or we didn't answer that question. that was asked, who initiates this? Do we know who initiates this? I mean,
Yes.
somebody suspended for as a director may not have qualms with it. They may feel their suspension is justified and would not need to be adjudicated. So somebody else might think they were wrongly dismissed as a director and want it to be adjudicated. So is there a form or process that we should be following that this lays out?
So in reviewing, because that was one of the questions that I had, and I talked to several other different people that are on organizations with judicial committees, and I talked to people who served on judicial committees. And then I reviewed a couple of the appellate procedures for the Libertarian Party nationally previously, which is funny because it's interesting. Sam Goldstein was making a curmudgeon comment on something else where he asked where the current appellate process procedures were. And then I realized they're not listed anywhere. And it just so happened to be like I was looking for that stuff and he was being a jerk, asking somebody being a jerk on a totally different topic. But then I was like, hey, actually, I've been looking for those and can't find them. In reviewing them, it's up to that judicial committee to determine what they're going to select as quote unquote standing. So some judicial committees will only give the aggrieved party standing. So only somebody who is affected by the direct resolution or the direct suspension can seek a judicial committee review of the suspension. However, some other committees have decided that they believe that any party member who feels that if they are ever a director and they would be put in that position where they could be removed as a director for that, should have the authority to bring a request to the judicial committee. And then the judicial committee would determine whether or not the request was legitimate or not. Like, are you actually a party member? Have you served in any capacity in anything? How long have you been a party member? They can make those determinations, but the only person that would have absolute standing is the person who was aggrieved. So if you were a county affiliate who was disaffiliated, that you could bring that to the judicial committee as any of the officers of that county affiliate or as a member of the county affiliate could bring it, because you would have standing as a party member within that county. An officer would obviously be able to bring it. But if you felt that the rest of the board were jerks in removing me as chair, you could, in theory, go to the judicial committee if they had set that in their established process. One of the big things that I've learned in reviewing judicial committees is that the board sets the committee, tells them what their authority is, what matters they can review. And then other than that, they step away from them because it's not something that you want to have any undue influence over. So it's kind of like judges. We set the laws that the judges review, but we do not give them a standard of how to review the law in a lot of areas. And you have problems like mandatory minimums when we do tell judges what they have to consider and what they have to sentence. So that's been my review of judicial committees for multiple different types of organizations, has been that they set how they're appointed, what their subject matter is, and granting them a stated they must have their appellate procedures within a certain time frame. Otherwise, it goes to whatever the previous procedures were. That way, people know what the rules are for going before the judicial committee. Other than that, you leave it up to them because you don't want to be mucking around with that process. It can be seen as putting a thumb on the scale.
So what I hear you saying is that you would not want to put the process of appealing to a judiciary committee in this document and that it would be the responsibility of the Judicial Committee to establish that process.
Yes, and in writing. And it has to, and there's actually the language here. We can reject their process by a 2/3 vote. So if we don't like their process, we can deny it. We can come back and say 2/3 of the state central committee says we don't like your process, do it again. So we do have that also as a safety catch. So if they basically say, if they come back and say only lifetime members who have been are the aggrieved party are the only people who can bring a complaint, well, we can come back and say, no, that's not okay. We can deny it. And unless we deny it, then it's accepted, essentially. But yes, I do agree with Mr. Solomon that it does need to be the appeals, that the Judicial Committee doesn't have the authority to create their own challenges. So they can't just be like, I don't like the motion they passed. We're going to review it in the Judicial Committee. There actually they cannot take something up unless somebody else brings the appeal. So I do agree with Mr. Solomon on that. Mr. Hagerman.
Yeah, I was looking at the section that says, should all Judicial Committee positions be vacant, an intervening convention or the state central committee may fill such vacancies. I can really only envision one circumstance where they would all be vacant, which is things have gotten so bad that they all got pissed off and left. Then I could see
another one.
Well, the one I'm thinking of is that one, and then I could see a potential fight between a convention trying to establish a board and the state central committee trying to establish a board, and I don't really see where where we say, well, who's got precedent over the other.
Once
I don't know if we need that.
No, we don't. So already within Roberts, if two groups are authorized, the first to act is the one that does. So we as the state central committee are authorized to make bylaws changes. We are authorized to change the standing rules. We can appoint other officers. We can appoint boards of directors. We can appoint committees. The convention can do all of those things at the convention, but we are empowered to do it in the interim. So if we appoint a judicial committee in the interim, then it is a filled seated board. They cannot be replaced until the next election at the gubernatorial, or if they all resign again. So the second scenario in which you could have all vacancies on the judicial committee would be in 2018, when we never got around to voting for the judicial committee at the national convention. And there was a vacancy, and the bylaws stated that their term ended at the close of convention. And there's only allowed for them to be sat by the convention delegates. There was no way for the LNC to appoint. And there was a lot of arguing over that. And there were people who did not feel that the judicial committee that the LNC sat was legitimate, because they were never empowered to do that. And there are some people who still question whether or not the LNC, whether the judicial committee that was sat at this past convention was legitimate, because it wasn't a period when the judicial, it was only non-presidential years that the judicial committee was supposed to be sat. So there are people who don't think this was legitimate either for the LNC. I think more people are okay because it was at least voted on by the delegates this time, as opposed to just being a blanket appointment that they were never authorized to do. Yeah. Nowhere in our national bylaws does it give the the LNC the authority to fill any vacancies at all for the judicial committee. So, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Reading over it again, I caught a couple of things. One thing is a point of clarification. Section 2, subsection D, if they're going to be considering appeals of voiding of state central committee decisions, who has the authority to void an SCC decision for them to even consider an appeal of?
So I think that, again, this goes back to their ability to, could that be brought forward? I think that any member who disagreed with the decision by the SCC could probably bring that to it. And so it would be overruling a decision by the SCC.
Okay, so in that case, to avoid confusion, I would recommend removing the words voiding of, because then it would read that they have the.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. They're doing the right. So how about any state central committee decision, appealing any.
Shorten it to state central committee decisions.
Okay.
Another thing I just noticed.
It's all numbered wrong.
Yeah, there's 4 B's and then it's A, C, D, F, G.
Yeah.
But the one glaring thing I just noticed, so you've established in this document their authority to hear appeals. There is nothing establishing authority for them to do anything about it. It doesn't say anything to the effect of, the ruling of the JC shall be honored. Their rulings have literally no teeth as per this wording currently.
Okay, so if I change this to the subject matter jurisdiction of the Judicial Committee is limited to consideration and adjudication, or should that just be adjudication of? Because adjudication would imply both the hearing and the ruling.
Yes, I would just replace consideration with adjudication at that point. I think that probably clears. I would still be a bit more explicit with it. Maybe another section stating that. I mean, honestly, it's up to this board how many teeth that you want to give the JC. Do you want the SCC to be bound by the JC's decisions? And if so, that needs to be explicit.
Good point. Excellent point.
So if we added a section 4, that simply just stated the State Central Committee and all affiliates are bound by the decisions of the Judicial Committee.
So the SCC spelled out, of course, and
we do allow abbreviation in our bylaws.
Okay, I'm abbreviating my notes. So the SCC and all affiliates of the LPIN shall abide by any, or shall abide by any and all JC or official JC decisions.
Yeah.
SCC. Is there anyone in the LPIN that is not covered under the language of the SCC and all affiliates?
No, because we cannot make candidates do things, but we can, oh no, and members, I guess. So it would be LPIN affiliates and members. LPS, so all the SCC and all.
So
all affiliates and members of the LPIN.
So if it's individual members, I would have an objection to giving the Judicial Committee authority over an individual member.
Nope, because this is suspension of membership. So if you're a suspension of membership, then and you've been suspended as a member and you go before the JC, you're bound by that. So if they say no, we're upholding your suspension of a membership, you're bound by that. And
Yes,
so
but the decision on the suspension of the membership doesn't pertain to the member. It pertains to the party that issues the membership.
it would
So-
attain, but it would be for the member as well.
Yeah, but the member can't cancel their own membership anyway. Like it's contractual. So that actually would be covered under this language, because if you're saying, hey, I'm revoking your membership, Evan, as an LPIN member, then the LPIN decision to not maintain your membership is an LPIN thing. They're not compelling you to do anything in that instance.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes, Ms. Coquillard.
We have 5 minutes left allotted to Judicial Committee.
Okay, without objection, move to extend by another 10 minutes.
Object.
Okay, then I move to extend by 10 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it. It's extended for an additional 10 minutes, Ms. Coquillard. Okay, I'd agree with you on that, Mr. Solomon.
Okay. And I mean, this is still discussion, so the actual motion itself, we can, and if we want to debate the language further there, we can. I was just trying to figure out if there's
If
anybody
something
that
else
is
that you'd like
perhaps.
to debate, let's do it now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that the State Central Committee and all affiliates of the LPIN does cover all bodies that we do and should have the ability to compel anything from. So I didn't know if so like the convention committee, are they considered part of the State Central Committee or an affiliate of the State Central Committee?
As a designated directed committee of the SCC, they are, while they're not board members of the SCC, they are part of the State Central Committee because they are a subcommittee of the State Central Committee.
So the SCC, any decision that would bind on the
Nolan,
SCC, they would then have.
Hold on, Mr. Solomon. Mr. Nolan, they are a subcommittee of the State Central Committee.
They are not a member of the SCC, though.
I did not say they were a member of the SCC. I said that they were
I thought you said it implied that they were
not a member.
They were appointed. Since they were appointed, they would be extended the courtesy of being part of the SCC.
No, they.
So what did you say then? I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Okay, so the committees are part of the SCC. They are not members of the board. All committees are subcommittees of the SCC. It is one parent organization. It is one group. We empower the subcommittees and we direct them and appoint them and fill vacancies. They are part of the SCC. They don't exist as a separate organization. They are our children. They are not the adults though. But so as part of the SCC, the State Central Committee, they would be bound by it, but they are not board members. They are not officers or directors or district reps. So they have no authority other than the authority invested in them on their committee as such through the SCC. But so I would say that they are covered by the SCC because the committees exist through the SCC.
Even if they weren't considered as part of the SCC, if they are subject to the authority of the SCC, a judicial committee decision that was binding on the SCC could then compel the SCC to compel the subcommittee. So I think that would still cover the language. I just want to make sure that we're covering all of our bases here.
And district committees are considered affiliates
of the LPIN?
Yeah.
Was there ever a petition to affiliate for District 8?
It's like an automatic affiliation because it's done by the county affiliates, create the committee, and they appoint their district reps. So it's an extension of.
So would the counties be considered affiliates of the district committee?
Yes.
Even though
And
none of the
LPIN.
membership had actually voted to affiliate.
They created it.
The chairs created it.
Right. Well, that's, I mean.
Because this came up recently in a conversation about should any decision that the district makes be binding on members. And I was opposed to that because, if I'm a rank and file member of Vanderburgh County, I've never had to vote on, are we going to be part of, the District 8 committee and should we be bound by their decisions? And I think that does a disservice to the county
Well,
party members to be
if you
bound by
want to take
something
it,
that
if you want
only
to
their
take
chair
it to
agreed
its,
to.
if you want to take it to its extreme, the rulings of the state central committee are binding on all members in the state party, but only a fraction of them actually voted for the officers of the state party, let alone the
True,
district.
but when they affiliated as a county party, they signed a petition to affiliate, and that's informed consent. If they
Maybe
never
that's
did that
something
with the
that-
district committee.
Maybe that's something we actually discuss in a future time, and not eat up the time allotted for this. But that seems like a question of maybe how do we, since there is only one district committee, maybe we should talk about that in the future on how we actually do that. But there is language that outlines the responsibility and the how. Oh no, it is actually stated in our bylaws. The district committee. So I would say that they would be classified as considered an affiliate. Mr. Nolan.
So what would happen if the SCC decided that they wanted to suspend a district representative and the county chairs decided that they did not want him suspended and reelected him to the district representative post? Are we all covered here on that? Who would adjudicate that? And
I don't think that, so within our bylaws, one, there is no mechanism for us to remove a district rep.
for attendance,
No, we didn't pass that, remember?
we didn't pass that?
No,
I thought we-
no, over my strong objection, we did not pass it, meaning I wanted it. So we have no mechanism for removing. So in that case, if we did do it, that representative or the county chairs for that district could go to the JC and say, hey, they didn't have the authority to remove this person. And my interpretation would be that the JC would say that that was accurate, and then they would reinstate the person to the SCC. However, let's say they then fill it and they say, hey, well, screw you, Evan. We're going to reappoint Mr. Nolan. Then it just becomes a circling firing squad of us continuing to do the same thing over and over again. I would just remove you again. And until we had somebody who went to the JC and said, hey, because the county chairs, I'm allowed to fill a vacancy as the chair. Oh, actually, they can't fill a vacancy. Only the chair can. They have to wait until convention.
I thought they could fill it anytime they can meet the counties
Nope.
together.
The vacancy is filled by the chairs, so they can tell me who they want, but it's filled by,
Temporarily till the counties meet, I think is the way the language reads, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think it specifically says that it's not until that they have they can only have their convention to elect that one, that, you know, it's their district convention, which most do at our state convention, but like District 8, they actually hold one beforehand. So
they could call one at any time.
As long as they were doing it within the bylaws, they could call a district convention if they wanted to. Sure. They'd have to send out the proper notice and everything. But yeah, so that would, you know, depending on which way it went, like, did the district rep say, hey, they couldn't remove me, so they went to the JC, or the county chairs got together and say, hey, you didn't have the authority to do that, so they go to the JC, or do they fill a vacancy that was not done according to the bylaws, in which case I go to the JC.
If your understanding is that in this particular instance, all those people would have standing.
Depending on, like I said, how it played out. Like the scenario of they could go to the JC because I removed the county chairs in that district, or you as the district rep could go to the JC. If they inappropriately filled or reappointed you, I'm using you as an example, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't do that. But you know, if they reappointed you, but it was done in an inappropriate way or not within the bylaws, then we could go, and that would mean any member of the SCC could go to the JC and say, hey, this was, actually, I don't think the district reps probably could. I don't think they would have standing because it's not their district. So it would have to be an officer would go and say, hey, this was inappropriate. They shouldn't have done this. Their appointment is invalid because, case in point.
So I just want to make sure
District 4,
everybody
wanted
everybody
to-
has standing to be able to adjudicate this thing properly is all.
Yeah.
Did we need to change any warrant? I'm not trying to
No, I think everybody who could, who,
things spoil, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. yeah, the
That-
affiliates would be able to, the district rep would be able to.
We kind of had that problem. We were wanting to get rid of one on attendance but the county chairs were not willing to
do anything. Well, and that case in point.
I was afraid that actual adjudication might come to fruition and want to make sure everybody had proper representation.
This almost happened at our state convention. The District 4 chairs were about to appoint somebody who was not a member of the state or national party.
That's right.
And that would have been inappropriate. And I feel like we could have I feel like if we had a judicial committee, we could remove them because they weren't valid. They were not a valid nomination or appointment. And that probably would have gone to the judicial committee to say, how do we handle this? I would put together a motion to remove, to suspend. You guys would all pass it.
Even though you don't have authority to do that, right? Is
right.
that what you?
And then we would let it go to the JC to decide what happens in this sense, because that was not a valid appointment. And now who fills the vacancy? And then we just blame the JC when people don't like what they do. It's their fault. We tried, we did it the right way, but it's the JC. They're all, they're just a bunch of lawyers. Mr. Solomon.
Mr. Nolan made a point. I just wanted to make sure I understood the point he was trying to make correctly. So in the scenario that he outlined, that assuming this body had the authority to remove a district rep, the SCC removes the district rep. Under the wording that we're talking about right now of state central committee decisions being under the appellate jurisdiction of this body, that would be adjudicatable. However, if that second scenario was like, oh, well, screw you, SCC, we want to reelect, Mr. Nolan as district rep. Under this current language, that decision would not be under the jurisdiction of the JC. Mr. Nolan, is that what you're getting at?
No, because if we made the decision to not accept that district rep and continue,
then that would be an SCC decision.
Right.
Okay, I didn't know if there was language in the LPIN bylaws that the SCC has to make the decision to seat that elected representative, or okay.
Yep. Ms. Coquillard.
We're at 3 minutes.
Okay. I am going to move to adopt the bylaws amendment proposal as amended and discussed.
Mr. Chair, point of information.
Second.
It's been seconded. I'll recognize the point of information, Mr. Solomon.
As amended and discussed, could we state for the record what those amendments are?
Yes, the amendments are under section 2. Subject matter jurisdiction of the Judicial Committee is limited to consideration has been changed to adjudication, and of appeals on only those matters expressly identified as below, or expressly identified as follows. The renumbering of the bullet points A through I. The creation of section 4 that says the State Central Committee and all affiliates of the Libertarian Party of Indiana shall abide by any and all Judicial Committee decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The motion was seconded by Mr. Hagerman. We do have a couple more minutes for debate and discussion. Is there any discussion, any debate?
Point of information.
Mr. Hagerman?
Was there a change to the wording on the voiding of?
Yes, you are correct, sir. I'm sorry. Item G, which was voiding of state central committee decisions. Voiding of state was removed, so it says central committee decisions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, would it not still be state central committee decisions?
Oh, yes, it would. I don't know why I crossed out state.
So
Wow.
that section would read state central committee
decisions. Yeah,
on
voiding
whatever
of
letter that would be.
G.
G.
Any other discussion? Okay, I am going to call the roll. Since I debated and discussed this, I will not be voting on this item. Vice Chair is not present. I don't see her. Okay, well, I'll just call the name. Lucy Brenton. Not present. Treasurer Michael Schultheis.
Aye.
Secretary is absent. District 1.
Aye.
District 2.
Aye.
District 3.
Aye.
District 4.
Aye.
District 5.
Aye.
District 7.
Aye.
District 8.
Aye.
District 9. Mr. Hirsch, you're muted. Greg Hirsch. Hello. He's here.
I'd just come back to him.
All right. IT.
Aye.
Field Director. Oh, Mr. Ring is gone. So absent. Political Director is absent. And Student Director is absent. Mr. Hirsch. Mr. Solomon, are you friends with Greg on Facebook?
I believe I am.
Can you ping him real quick? I'm going to leave it open for a second since he is here.
Give me just 1 second. H-E-R-T?
HERTZSCH.
Z-S-C-H. He never accepted me. I've been snubbed.
Hey, Christy, can you send him a message?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that it failed. Anyway.
Okay.
Because of the people who were absent. So it requires a 4/5 vote of the entire membership of the board. And since Rosalind and Jared never attend.
Can we do an email ballot thing? Is
Yes.
it worth it?
Yeah, we could do that. Is there anybody that would be opposed to that? Canceling this vote and doing it by email ballot? Mr. Nolan? Because we're missing the secretary. We have 2 proxies, and I don't mean to disparage you guys, but there are 2 proxies. We're missing field director, political director, and student director from the meeting.
I had some concern about the number of changes that were on here and voting on it without
having it written.
But I went ahead and voted for it anyway. So I would feel comfortable maybe postponing it to the next meeting or till we've got a cleaner sheet to look at, to vote for, if you don't mind. I don't know. I mean,
well, doing it by email ballot, we would send out the completely updated language and everything, and that I think would give a better opportunity for specifically Rosalind and Jared to chime in.
Yeah, and I'd like to make sure that all the changes that we talked about got included, since we don't really have these changes are supposed to be in writing, I think, and we've made a lot. So
yeah.
Have we heard from Rosalind? Do we know how she is?
Last time I talked to her was last month, the middle of the month, and it was actually just after our last SCC meeting. And she said she was working through schooling and job and moving and transition and stuff, and that she'd be back on board soon. But I have not talked to her since then.
Well, that's good to know, though.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, point of personal privilege.
Remember, you are being recorded.
Christy just dropped in the chat that Mr. Rigg is waiting to be let in.
I do not see him in the waiting room. I do now. There he is. It still would not affect things right now. And I do think, and I'm sorry to say this, guys, but I think this is a very important issue, and I do value the input that came from Mr. Solomon. However, I do think that having 2 proxies and one other officer, or 2 of the officers, and 50% of our directors not here is, we probably need their input. Does that make sense, Mr. Solomon?
As one of those proxies myself, if there is any doubt that 2 proxies and that many absences is going to call this resolution into question, then I would absolutely be in favor of tabling it until such measures can be instituted that would raise that confidence, because this is so important.
Okay, let me ask it this. Is there any objection to tabling this to an email ballot? Okay, hearing no objection, we will table this to an email ballot. 50th Gala, who have you picked for your ticket? We're coming up. I'm supposed to submit the names the first week of August. So we'll go in order. Mr. Telsky, do you know if Chuck Poland has picked someone for your district?
No, I do not.
Okay. I will harass him. Ms. Coquillard.
The one person who showed any interest had not gotten back to me. So I don't know if I can give you my district ticket back so you can give it to somebody maybe you know of.
Okay. District 3.
I believe I have somebody picked.
District 4, Mr. Beatty, you don't get one of these because you guys, you didn't have a representative at the time when we picked it, but essentially we bought 7 tickets to the 50th Gala to be held in somewhere in Colorado, August 28th. 27th, sometime in August. We bought some tickets as the state party, and we gave 1 to each district to be able to give to somebody. But 4 and 6 were still vacant at the time, so we did not get one for those. But hold on, there might be hope for you yet. District 5.
I haven't chosen anybody yet either.
Okay. District 6 is vacant. District 7, Mr. Williams.
Yes, I have someone in mind, but I have to confirm.
Okay. District 8.
Are you just looking for a yes or no or a name?
Yes or no?
Yes.
It's not you, is it?
No. However, if anyone would like to float me one, I will not object.
District 9. Oh, he's not here. I mean, he's here, but he's not really here. Okay. I have a proposal. Does anybody object other than District 8 and District 3? Do the other district chairs, we're going to lose them and they cost us $200. Do you object to me giving them to people? Mr. Nolan, do you object?
I do not.
Okay.
But I have one person in mind. You want me to ask that person first and then?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Because I would rather it go to somebody in your district first.
Okay.
Than for me to assign it.
Very good, sir.
Mr. Telsky.
Yeah, but do you want to wait to hear back from Chuck? It's the first I'm hearing of it, so I'm not sure if you had somebody in mind or not.
I talked to Chuck and I think I asked him about this and I think he said he forgot. So I'm going to assume does not and has not. So I'm just taking it away from him. Mr. Solomon.
I just wanted to ask for clarification. If there are excess tickets to be apportioned, would District 4 be entitled to first dibs since they do have a district rep now, and that seems like the most fair first grab at it? If they have some.
That was why I said there's still hope for him yet, was because I knew I was going to ask for this, and so I'm going to talk to him and try to work out and see if we can get one person from his district, from District 4.
Very well.
So that is what I will do, and I will confirm with everybody individually, one-on-one. And please, I'll be asking, did you pick somebody? What's their name and email address so that I can tag them in the CRM. Otherwise, I'm taking your seat away, your ticket away. I'm giving it to somebody else. Okay, LPIN events. I talked about some of that. The Park County, we're moving that to September. We do have the training session with the LNC coming up in October. We need to start promoting that, getting more people there. It is free, and it's going to be in Indianapolis at the Drury End. I can't remember where we agreed to put that. So that's most of those events. I'm traveling around the state, coming to as many of your county events as I possibly can. Mr. Nolan.
I haven't seen too much advertisement or promotion of the training thing. Have you? Okay.
National said that they were going to do it because it's regional. So it's not just Indiana, and we're not supposed to take all the seats. We're supposed to leave plenty of room for Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. But then at the same time, I haven't seen a single email go out about the training and booking it.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something. So what date is in October is that?
I don't remember. Christy knows because she booked her hotel room. Christy, when is it? It's like the 18th of October? Christy Avery?
You keep losing people.
I have it down as being in September.
I have
11th
October
and 12th.
16th.
I know it's in October.
Why do I have weird dates?
October 16th.
Originally, Sam announced it in September because he's an idiot.
Okay. So maybe I put it on my calendar from then.
So I gave him a range of dates that were no good, and he booked it for one of those weekends. And I caught it in time. They had already started trying to secure hotel rooms for that weekend, and I was like, no, not that weekend.
I need to make sure I change that in my calendar then.
Yeah, because I thought I saw you said you booked your hotel room somewhere.
I did.
Oh, Okay.
You may need to unbook it.
No, I booked it for the right day, but in my
Oh,
in
okay.
my calendar, I have it the wrong day.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I'll probably start sending out emails about that.
The last time I tried to look for it on the national was probably 6 weeks ago or so, and I didn't find it. Can you send us a link to where people would sign up for? Because if you would, because I couldn't find it. Of course, I'm old, so.
You don't know how to use websites. I will send out an email next week. I'll do a series of them. What I'll do is I'll start by sending the email to the district reps, then I'll send one to the county chairs, and then I'll send one to members, and then I'll send one to all contacts.
Okay, appreciate that. Yep. With all the information and stuff and hotels and things. So or just all you really need is just the link to where you sign up, I guess, right?
I'm not just going to send out a link. I'll send out hey, we've got this thing going on. It's training. These are the things. You can go here and find out more and book it. Because I feel like if I just send a link, people will be like, what the hell is this, Evan? Mr. Schulteis.
I found the link and sent it to the SCC, but it doesn't have any additional information besides the training.
It should have the booking page on it.
It might have it. I didn't really look at it.
Okay, well, thank you for your limited input.
And I don't know how to do web pages either.
I'm sorry, what was that, Mr. Schulteis?
It's October 16th and 17th.
Okay, thank you. I knew it was about the month after my birthday. Let's see. Okay, so moving on to the next item on the agenda is we have. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the link for your doorbell camera because your neighborhood sounds riveting.
It is. It's amazing.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 2 affiliation requests within the 8th district. Owen and Spencer County. I'm going to turn the floor over for a second to Mr. Solomon for him to ask for appointment for temporary chairs.
You want me to just combine these 2 items?
Do them separately, please.
Okay. So for the county of Owen County, I would like to request to appoint Lacey Newton as temporary chair.
Okay, so there is a motion to appoint Lacey Newton as temporary chair for Owen County. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Nolan. Is there any discussion? Anybody want to ask any questions of Mr. Solomon?
I assume they all have their proper affiliation and stuff.
Was that a question or a statement, sir?
I think it was both.
Could you clarify affiliation stuff?
They're member. She's a member.
She is a recent member. After she reached out to Mr. McMahon, Mr. McMahon did his magic, got her signed up as a triple member. I spoke to her on the phone Thursday. While she is a new member of the party, she is a longtime voter. She was actually volunteering at the vet clinic when Mr. Horning was running for an office sometime over the last 100 years or however long he's been running. So she's been involved. She just missed the memo the whole time that you have to go to lpin.org/join to actually become a member of the party. She has, I think her father was a longtime Republican operative, or Democrat, old party operative. So she has seen the insides of working campaigns and she's worked with nonprofits. I think that she's fantastic for this. Mr. Horning was originally going to help us out and do this, and then when she stepped forward, he wanted to step away, and we've been really excited about her.
We'll also say that he actually went to the Lawrence County Fair and went to the Lawrence County Libertarian booth and talked to Tanya and said that she wanted help. She wanted to organize an affiliate at Owen County, and so I got contacted by her twice, once by Tanya Millis from Lawrence County, and then by Miss Newton herself. And I sent her an email and said, here's the process. Here's how it works. By the way, you need to be a member. Here are the different options. We had another email exchange, and then she signed up as a triple member. And then she talked to, I think she sent an email to Mr. Haynes, and then she also had a meeting with Mr. Solomon. She talked to Mr. Horning. Yeah, so she seems pretty solid.
They've also organized a Facebook group where a lot of just LPIN people are in that. So probably a few people on this call are in that group.
I just want to know if she had her membership, Saul.
Yep, nope, she's good. We have confirmed.
Next time, just say yes or no. Yes or no, is she a member? So hearing no additional questions or comments, I'm going to do a voice vote. All in favor of appointing Lacey Newton as the Owen County Temporary Chair, say aye.
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 You were muted, Jay, but I saw your aye. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous.
Congratulations. Share another point of personal privilege.
Yes, sir.
Morgan dropped out again and Christy says he is trying to get back in.
I do not see him in the waiting list. I am going to make you a co-host.
Oh boy, probably the wrong call.
Make a co-host. There you go. Can you keep track of that?
Perhaps.
You click on.
Is that where the waiting room is?
Yeah. So it's when they show up, they go to the top of the list of participants, and it says "waiting to enter room."
Okay, I will keep an eye on that.
Oh, that was a jerk move because now you're going to do Spencer County.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to appoint Mr. I know his name. I just want to double check because I'm thorough. I wasn't as prepared for Spencer. I apologize. I would like to appoint Mr. Jeff Miller as temporary chair of the Spencer County Libertarian Party.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions?
Are we sure he's a member?
Is a yes or no question?
So for Mr. Miller in particular, I do not have CRM access. So 1 second. Oh, okay. Morgan's in. I have not been able to confirm that, and I've been unable to confirm that with Mr. Haynes. So I will defer to the chair if he is able to confirm that.
I will look right now. Actually, no, I won't. I will stay in the meeting and I will ask Mr. Hagerman. Can you go and look for a Jeff Miller in Spencer County to
Yes,
verify?
I'm looking.
Okay, verify his membership. Because that is not the name that Micah gave me. When you said Jeff Miller, that threw me because that's not the name he gave me.
What name did he give you?
Something Frank something.
He was doing it off the top of his head. He screwed that name up a bunch.
Okay. That's a pretty big difference. I mean, like, John versus Jeff. I get Frank versus Jeff. That's a little out there.
Mr. Haynes doesn't have the talent for names that I do.
What name am I looking at, Miller?
Jeff Miller.
Jeff or Jeffrey.
So just Miller J. Miller J.
We have no Jeff Miller.
Is there any J Miller?
James Jason.
In
Spencer County.
In Spencer County?
At all. That's the only Millers that are there. Miller, comma J. And I get James Jason, and that's it.
Okay. I am going to actually rule this motion out of order since he is not a member. And that is one of the requirements, unless the district representative can come back and show that Mr. Miller is a member of the state party, and then we can reconsider it at that time. But I'm going to rule the motion out of order.
Is a conditional motion in order?
No.
Very well. Then I will retract it.
Okay. Well, it was ruled out of order, so you can't retract it.
Very well. Yes, I
need to get my gavel. I will get my gavel.
That is your privilege, sir. I will re-engage Mr. Miller or engage him. I think he talked to you on that kind of all hands call that you did about the
Yeah.
New Hampshire
Yeah.
national situation, and he talked to Mike after that. I never had any contact with him. Our district treasurer has been trying to meet with him since he's a Spencer County resident. I was out of the loop on that one.
Thinking back to when Micah was telling me about this, I even thought when he was like, "Yo, you talked to him on that meeting," I was like, I don't remember a guy named Frank talking to me. And I was able to and I remember Jeff Miller because Jeff Miller actually has been around for a while. He's just, I don't think he's ever been a member.
Okay, I will.
No, you know what? He was a member years ago. Actually, I do believe, but he may have just been a national member. But either way, not a member right now.
I just found a Jeff Miller.
Oh.
And when I put in Jay, I didn't get him, but when I put in Jeff, I got a couple. So let me look at these.
So there is a Jeff Miller as an LPIN member in Spencer County?
Well, I don't know. Let me see what county. I've got, yes, Spencer.
Is he a member?
I would like to move.
Hold on.
Let me see if he is active. He's just in our system. He's got 2 accounts, so I have to check them both. Okay, let's see. I have a triple membership for Jeff Miller in Spencer County.
Okay, then I rule my ruling of the motion out of order. Out of order.
Let him make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead and move it again, sir.
I will again move to appoint Mr. Jeff Miller as temporary chair of the Libertarian Party of Spencer County.
I will again second.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I will confirm he is a member.
Hearing no more questions, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of appointing Jeff Miller temporary chair of Spencer County, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Okay, Mr. Miller is appointed the temporary chair of Spencer County. Congratulations. Announcements. Does anybody have any announcements that they'd like to make? Mr. Nolan.
Yes, Hamilton County is going to have a bowling event at Bowl 32 in Noblesville on July 29th at 7 p.m.
Do you by any chance know what the cost for the lanes are? Was that in her information about that? No, okay.
I don't
Ask
have
her
it.
to put that out next time, that she'd say what the cost to attend is. Because I don't want to bring 5 people if it's $100 a person.
Well, it's just regular bowling alley.
You know, but you don't know. It could be some Carmel hipster place that, you roll with truffles bound together in epoxy or something. I don't know. I don't know how you rich people bowl.
It's Noblesville. It's not Carmel. So,
Any other announcements from board members?
Mr. Chair, would it be in order for District 8 to ask for money?
It would not be, because that would have been under new business, which we are now past new business and into announcements, which is basically like, no.
Oh, well,
however,
that's the worst thing you were going to tell me.
You can make the motion. I will not rule it out of order. I will just chastise you for doing so.
I will gladly accept the chastisement for the opportunity, sir. Thank you. District 8's doing a lot. We've kind of pooled our resources at the top. So all of the literature, materials, event tents, we've purchased a second one. We have a lot of expenditures, and even though we are in the middle of a fundraiser, we're still probably not in the greatest position, especially given that we have a building with rent and potential building maintenance that we need to do. So I was asked by a county chair to ask the SCC if they would consider a request for some LPIN funds.
Need to put your request in a number.
Well, I was trying to gauge the response first so that I knew what number to put.
Hey,
Well,
if you're asking for 25 bucks, I'm probably not going to object to that. If you're asking for 10,000, I'm going to tell you no.
How would 400 be received by this board?
And what was the purpose of the money being used?
For replenishment of supplies as well as building maintenance and rent costs. And of course, county support, which is our entire reason for existence.
So if I understand this correctly, during announcements, you are requesting a motion for the SCC to authorize $400 to be used for supplies, building, rent, and maintenance for the 8th district. Is that correct? Is that your motion?
I would add county affiliate support to that list.
That's a vague term, but okay.
Our counties interpret it very vaguely as well, so it's a lot of requests.
Okay.
Jay?
Is there a second for that motion?
Hey, Jay, hang on a second. Jay?
Yes, sir.
Send me an email with your request and the address I need to send it to, and I'll send you $400.
In that case, sir, we actually have, oh, Ms. Brent would like that, Kim. In that case, we actually do have a donate link for our event tent up on LPIN8D.org. We would greatly appreciate your donation, sir.
You will send me that link then?
Absolutely. In which format would you like to receive it?
I just click and push, you know.
Would you like it via email or how would you like that?
District 5 at lpin.org.
I will send it as soon as we adjourn, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Are there any other announcements?
Does that does somebody take a cut of that $400? You have to pay somebody 5%?
No, sir.
Yeah, you've got a credit card processing fee.
Do you know what that is off the top of your head?
I think it's 4%.
Okay, I will check with our treasurer first because he probably
would you like a check instead so you don't have to get the processing fee?
Absolutely.
If you do, send me an address.
Absolutely, sir. I will get with our treasurer for the proper address and I will email that to you as soon as I get it back from him.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'm
hearing
sorry.
no second on that motion, the motion dies for lack of a second. Are there any other announcements? No, hearing none. Going to move on to public comment. Is there anybody in the public gallery that would like to address the group? That's not Dorn. I'm just kidding. Dorn, if you'd like to say something as well, you're more than welcome to. Okay, hearing no public comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved, and all those in favor
Second.
say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Oh, our next meeting will be September 20, what? 25th?
I think. Yeah, I think so.
Uh,
It's Saturday.
Yeah, September 25th. Damn. In person at the Antelope Club.
Mr. Chair, point of information.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you say September?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's no SCC meeting next month in August?
Correct.
Okay. So for September 25th, that is also the date of the event in Montezuma.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to, because it was supposed to be Sunday, not Saturday. So it should be the 26th, not the 25th for the park event.
Okay, so we haven't scheduled anything yet.
Hold on, Mr. Solomon.
Hold on one second. The 26th is a Sunday, so September 26th. So as long as you just make sure it's for the 26th instead of the 25th, then there should be no problems.
Yeah, it was supposed to be scheduled for that Sunday in September for the Park County event. So I
Okay.
think
So
the
you want
date
to see
just
that
got,
changed?
yeah, I think that just got turned around wrong. It was supposed to be that Sunday.
Okay.
If you could take care of that. So our next meeting, and it will be in person at the Antelope Club.
September 25th,
Correct,
Saturday, September 25th.
correct. Yes, Mr. Nolan. Morgan, I'm going to mute you for a second. That wasn't you. It was, who am I hearing? I don't know who it was. Okay. Did you have another question, Mr. Nolan? Was that it? Okay.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yep. We will, of course, make it available via Zoom. And we'll probably broadcast it on YouTube as well. I've been trying to do that. Sometimes Zoom is not cooperative when you're recording and doing Zoom, and it's more important that we have the actual recording. So I'm going to keep trying to get that to work completely. All right, everybody. Well, have good times. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.